Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Author by Heavenly Overlord. Translator by NYOIBO Studio. Audio novels by Novelist. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 171, Becoming Yunya's Disciple. This game has come to an end. Miss Hua stamped her foot lightly in the soil below her legs exploded. The intense explosion generated a frightening shockwave, causing Suyu and Mo Wu's expression to change at the same time. An illusion of their death appeared in their mind uncontrollably. In the end, they were still discovered. Mo Wu's beautiful eyes were full of fighting spirit. Time to go all out. However, she could hear a silent voice beside her. Now, I can only use my last card. Space-time manipulation. Suyu gave a loud roar. Suyu's right eye turned red and flashed, illuminating the small and narrow cave. Whiz. An unusual scene appeared. In imminent peril, Suyu and Mo Wu, who were engulfed by the red light, disappeared. Suyu teleported himself and Mo Wu away to another place. The explosion came. The soil splashed about and the land split with a loud bang. The cave that Suyu and Mo Wu had hidden in was exposed in a split second. When she looked into the cave was empty. Although the cave was empty, it was full of remnants of their spiritual energy. Miss Hua's smile became serious. After a short while, her eyes turned cold and shot toward the last remaining land that was in good condition. However, Suyu's shadow could not be found there. Miss Hua's smile became icy cold. Although I don't know what kind of trick you used to escape, within the cave, there are still remnants of your body's warmth and spiritual energy, meaning that you left not long ago. A pair of clear eyes gradually became narrower and they looked around the surroundings coldly. A series of horrible shrieks could be heard from the abyss of Wutong. A scarlet shadow broke free of his restraints, flew toward the sky, changed into a red light, and disappeared into the horizon. Miss Hua's jade-like face became cold. Old bastard, you actually escaped. Whiz. After hesitating for a short while, Miss Hua bit her silver teeth and shouted loudly at her location. Little bastard, I will remember this. Next time, don't even think of escaping from my hands. After her speech, she flew toward the horizon hastily back to the abyss of Wutong. What's going on? I have sealed his internal blood energy channel, causing him to become a disabled person. Moreover, I have plundered all the magical treasures on him. How is he still able to escape? Miss Hua descended from the sky. Han Xiaowei covered his wound which was streaming with blood and said surprisingly. By injuring himself, he broke the sealed internal blood energy channel. After which, he activated a magical treasure hidden in his mouth forcefully and escaped with a shocking speed. Miss Hua was furious. He hid a magical treasure in his mouth. Crafty old bastard. I was careless. Miss Hua, what do we do now? Han Xiaowei said unhappily. Miss Hua was unable to capture the fourth elder who had cut off his arms alive. Miss Chia frowned and she said coldly. We do not need to care about him for a while. In the meantime, we had to examine the abyss of Wutong. That demonic woman is waiting for us to return and hand over the cultivation techniques that we have found. At the scorched ruins, it was quiet and no one was present. Suddenly, a head popped out from the ground. Although its face was in dire straits, it was unable to conceal its happiness. It was Suyu who had escaped from the crisis. After which, opposite him, a jade-like face full of dust came out from the ground. It was Mo Wu. Her pretty face was filled with happiness and surprise. Suyu, how did you do it? This place is quite near to the abyss of Wutong as it is only a few miles away. Hence, this is not the place to talk, let's leave here first. Suyu showed no signs of relaxing and said coldly. Mo Wu felt the same and nodded her head. Both of them climbed out from the ground and shook the soil off their body. Both of them had a tacit agreement and immediately left their current location hastily. After flying for 1 day and 1 night continuously, Suyu exhausted all his spiritual energy. Hence, he had to stop and take a rest. Since they did not give chase after one day, I doubt that young lady would come after us. Mo Wu heaved a sigh of relief and collapsed onto the ground. She recalled the events that happened the day before and felt like it was a dream. The appearance of the Empire of Darkness was very sudden. That power to oppress everything gave her the jitters. The 9 6th-level Holy Kings was captured in just an hour. As for the 4th Elder, he was captured alive by the mysterious Miss Hua. This matter must be reported to the faction immediately, Mo Wu said to herself. Suyu took some time to catch his breath and he opened his eyes slightly. This is a big matter. Senior Mo, please return to the faction first. I cannot drag you down with me. Comparing their speed, Suyu was a lot slower compared to Mo Wu. After pondering for some time, knowing that Suyu was safe, Mo Wu nodded her head lightly. I understand. However, there are only 1.5 months before the Shianyan contest. With your speed, you would require about a month even if your objective were to go without stopping. During your journey, there must not be any delays. If not, you will miss the ancient Shianyan temple. If that is the case and if King Xian'an faces a death threat, I will hand her over to Xuanhuan on your behalf. Mo Wu's last sentence caused Suyu's heart to shake and he nodded deeply. I understand. I can rescue my woman on my own and I do not need the help of anyone else. If you understand, then all is good. However, I must warn you something. Only 20 people are allowed into the ancient Shianyan temple. Moreover, among the faction's top 20 people, the weakest person has a cultivation base of 7th level peak Holy King. At your current level, you are still far from being able to get into the top 20, Mo Wu said attentively. Every disciple of the faction's 10th elder had a cultivation base of Dragon Realm. As for the 10 remaining spots, they were all occupied by the 7th level peak Holy Kings. Suyu could deal with 6th level lower tier Holy Kings easily. However, the gap between him and a 7th level peak Holy King was too big. Suyu's expression remained calm as always. He cupped his fists. I have never given on hope. Please look out for yourself. Mo Wu looked at Suyu deeply and flew away. A long time passed. Suyu's hands started to tremble slightly as he could no longer restrain himself. To Suyu, 7th level peak Holy King was extremely far away. How would it be possible for him to achieve 7th level peak Holy King in 1.5 months? Although his expression was calm, his heart could not be at ease. However, when he thought of Xian'an's pretty and charming face, Suyu's mind gradually became firm. The person that I want to rescue, who can take her away from me? Even gods cannot take her away from me. Suyu took a deep breath. His eyes were overflowing with a fighting spirit that defied the overwhelming odds. In his life, he was once an insignificant being. However, he rose abruptly to the top, defying his fate in the mighty current of destiny. He had managed to become who he was at the very moment. He would not give up easily. With Suyu's fighting spirit that defied overwhelming odds, he managed to become who he was at the very moment step by step. However, the gap between him and 7th level Holy King was huge and hard to close. As such, it was difficult for Suyu to determine how he should train. You have a strong and charming willpower that is similar to that female child. Both of you have a strong will that refuses to admit defeat. Yunyazi's laughed. Suyu cast the great obstacles in his heart away and his expression returned back to being calm. However, his expression contained a thread of bitterness. Can everything in this world be decided by willpower? Everything that I have done is based on my clear conscience. When I have given up all hope, I am able to tell myself that I have done my best and struggled for it. Hence, I have never once felt any regrets. No regrets, Yunyazi sighed disappointedly. He became silent for some time, like he was pondering and hesitating over something. He made up his mind. Suyu, are you willing to accept me as your master? Accept you as my master? Suyu was shocked. Yunyazi was unfathomable and he was a unique spiritual being. Suyu had not thought that he could have Yunyazi as his master. Suyu realized that perhaps accepting Yunyazi as his master would be a good idea. In his life, there were two people who had made his life take a turn for the better. The first person was the Duke of Shianyan, his father-in-law. It was him who had given Suyu the chance to enter a wider stage to display his abilities. The second person was Li Guang, his unofficial master. It was him who had given Suyu the chance to enter Zhenlong continent, the real world. Yunyuzi was the third fateful person that could change Suyu's fate. Suyu's instinct told him that Yunyuzi could change his life. However, at that moment, he thought of Li Guang when he was at death's door. When Li Guang heard Suyu call him master for the last time while he was on the verge of death, he had displayed a gratified smile. As such, Suyu was conflicted. On one hand, it was a unique and strong martial artist who could make his life take a turn for the better. On another hand, it was his gratitude toward his former master, and he could not forget his vow to take revenge for him. Suyu was caught between two difficult positions. After a long time, Suyu raised his head lightly and sighed deeply. Thank you, Elder Yunyuzi, for your good intention. I once had a master who died because of me and I have not avenged him yet. Hence, I am unable to accept another person as my master. As though he had used all his energy to say those words, Suyu knew that he had given up a very big opportunity. However, at the same time, he knew that his conscience had gone through an important test. He knew that, in the future, he would accomplish nothing and forever be an average person. But when Suyu recalled the events that happened on that day, he did not feel any regrets. Are you sure about your choice? In my whole life, I have only had one unofficial disciple. Today, that disciple could extinguish all the strong martial artists in Zhenlong continent with his hands. In front of my unofficial disciple, the faction that you mentioned would become nothing with a flick of his finger. In his whole life, he had begged me to accept him officially as my disciple so that I could impart my knowledge to him. However, I never once agreed to it. Now, are you really sure about your choice? Suyu was shocked and he gasped. An unofficial disciple could show disdain for all the strong martial artists in Zhenlong continent. How strong must he be to be able to do that? As a master, how mythological was Yunyuzi? The deepest part of Suyu's heart felt that he would have an eventful life if he accepted Yunyuzi as his master. However, the astonishment within him was unable to affect Suyu's decision. Suyu took a deep breath and said apologetically, my choice remains unchanged. I cannot forget my gratitude toward my former master. Hence, I will not regret the decision that I had made today. Within Suyu's heart, he sighed quietly. He knew that he had completely given up on the biggest opportunity of his life. There were no strong martial artists that could tolerate his own disciple serving another master. That would be disrespectful and an insult to him. However, what Suyu did not expect was that after remaining silent for some time, Yunyuzi laughed mockingly. His laughter was so loud and clear that it reached the heaven. He was very open-minded and he laughed like he had not laughed at his heart's content for a very long time. Junior, in my whole life, I am proud to say that I have seen many people. However, it is the first time that I see someone as stupid as you. Suyu laughed at himself mockingly. Yes. Apart from me, who would turn down Elder Yunya's kindness? Suyu's heart felt bitter. He had given up on the greatest opportunity of his life. However, Yunyuzi's tone changed. However, even though you are stupid, it is the first time that I have seen someone who valued gratitude and relationships highly. Yunyuzi's tone gradually turned melancholy, as though he was recalling about his past. If I had met you first back then, I would not have ended up in my current state. Suyu was surprised. It seemed that Yunyuzi had a past that was not known to anyone. In the past, I was blind. This time around, I will make my bed again. Rustle. Yunyuzi's soul body sprang out from within the small jade box and it became the shadow of a human being. His white robe was making a whistling sound and each and every of his white hair was drifting although there was no wind. He had a pair of eyes that was like the sun and moon in the world which was bright and dazzling. He looked old, serious and dignified. An invisible supreme energy surrounded his body. A loud and clear voice which pierced through the grey clouds reverberated in the world. Suyu, are you willing to accept me, Yunyuzi, as your master? The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 172, The Toughest Training. Suyu sighed. Thank you, Elder, for your kindness. You do not need to reply me now. You can answer me after you have avenged your former master. Yunyuzi smiled. Suyu was moved and thankful. He bowed down. Thank you, Elder Yunya. However, I will not interfere in your revenge for your former master. You will avenge your former master by yourself. This is my respect for you and also my test to you before I accept you as my disciple. If you are unable to accomplish this, I will have to reconsider whether I should accept you as my disciple. That is my intention. As my former master's disciple, how can I let outsiders help me with my revenge? Suyu felt thankful for Yunyuzi's respect. Yunyuzi nodded his head satisfactorily. Good. From now on, before you avenge your former master, I will stay within the small jade box. As compensation for living in the small jade box, I will devote myself to advising you on your training for the next 1.5 months. Suyu was pleasantly surprised. However, his eyes appeared dejected at the same time. If he had met Yunyuzi earlier, he might still have a hope of defeating 7th-level peak Holy Kings. However, at the current moment, it was too late. The gap between a 5th-level upper-tier Holy King and a 7th-level peak Holy King was equivalent to a natural moat. In just a mere 1.5 months, it was impossible to close the gap between a 5th-level upper-tier Holy King and a 7th-level peak Holy King. As though he knew what Suyu was thinking about, Yunyuzi laughed loudly. How difficult is it to achieve 7th-level Holy King? If you follow my advice, within 1.5 months, even achieving Dragon Realm will be easy. Suyu was extremely shocked. He felt like his throat had been blocked by something. Dragon Realm. Suyu did not expect himself to achieve even 7th-level peak Holy King. In spite of that, Yunyuzi would be able to help him achieve Dragon Realm quickly. However, the prerequisite is that you must be able to bear hardships. Yunyuzi added indifferently. After his speech, Suyu laughed loudly. Bear hardships. If I were afraid of bearing hardships, then now, I would still remain a nameless and unknown student in Xuanhuan continent. If that is the case, then let's begin your training now. Yunyuzi pondered for a short time and pointed toward a giant rock at the bottom of a mountain. Carry that rock. Suyu looked toward the direction that Yunyuzi pointed and his lips twitched. That was a giant rock with a 5-foot diameter. It was at least 2 tons heavy, which was equivalent to the weight of a car in his previous life. If a normal person carried the giant rock on their back, their skeleton would break for sure. As for Suyu, his physique had changed greatly and it was many times stronger than an ordinary person. He took a deep breath and tried to use his body to carry the giant rock. However, the giant rock did not budge in the slightest bit. An idea came to his mind. He revolved the spiritual energy around his body and his strength increased greatly at once. Ha! He gave a light roar and both his hands grabbed the cracks of the giant rock tightly. When he used his strength, the 2-ton heavy giant rock finally left the ground and was carried by Suyu. Although the rock was extremely heavy, with the help of his spiritual energy, it was not difficult to carry it. Elder, I have carried the giant rock, how do I proceed with my training? Suyu's eyes were full of excitement. Yunyuzi warned him carefully. Giant rock, what I wanted you to carry is that small mountain. Rumble, bang. Suyu's body turned stiff and the giant rock on his hands dropped onto the floor with a loud bang. Small mountain. Suyu looked up rigidly and examined the small mountain in front of him. It was about 30 feet tall and its long shadow enveloped the tiny Suyu. With a rough estimation by eye, that small mountain was at least 100 ton heavy. Elder, are you sure that it is this small mountain? Suyu's mouth became dry. If he carried that small mountain on his back, even the current Suyu would be crushed into minced meat. However, Yunyuzi said casually. Why? Is it very heavy? Rustle. With a stroke of Yunyuzi's robe, a rumbling sound could be heard. The small mountain was then carried up by his soul energy and it floated a few meters up into the sky. Catch it, Yunyazi said indifferently and flicked his fingers. Whiz. Rumble, rumble. The small mountain carried a rumbling sound and crushed Suyu who was below it. Is this training or an attempt to kill me? Suyu's expression changed greatly. In imminent peril, he revolved his spiritual energy like his life depended on it. However, instinct told him that even if he released all his spiritual energy, he would still be crushed into minced meat. Glazed ice flame. Suyu's whole body was burning with 60 feet of ice flame and everything became frozen. Yunyazi remained composed. He leaned against a big tree and nodded his head indifferently. Ice-based cultivation technique. Among the legacy-level cultivation techniques, it is considered the best technique and it also has a shadow of immortal-level cultivation technique. However, it is only slightly matured and its power is average. Even though the ice flame was unleashed to its fullest potential, it did not hinder the movement of the small mountain and the small mountain continued to move downwards towards Suyu. The 60 feet of ice flame obstructed the movement of the small mountain for some time before being completely extinguished by the weight of the small mountain. Faced with a dangerous situation, Suyu could not hold back any longer. Divine Ice Battle Armor. Titter. The divine ice ring in his chest shot out countless divine ice threads which were weaved into a powerful armor quickly. The powerful armor covered Suyu's weak body, causing him to look extraordinary soldierly. The ice flame suddenly became 70 feet tall. Yunyazi's dull eyes were moved slightly. Oh, do you possess an ice-based divine artifact? It is a pity that you have only unleashed 30% of his power, average. Rumble. After hindering the movement of the small mountain for 2 breaths' time, the 70 feet of ice flame was extinguished again. Seeing that the small mountain was about to reach him, Suyu bit his teeth, unleashed all the moves that he had learned in his life. Heavenly Punishment of Ice and Thunder. The half-divine Great Holy Decree appeared from the void and headed straight for the small mountain. Yunyazi's eyes revealed a rare admiration for Suyu. Even though you are 15 years old, you have managed to comprehend a half-divine Great Holy Decree. Seems like your level of comprehension is not bad. Moreover, your holy decree has a slight natural rhythm to it. It is a pity that you have only scratched the surface of it. Hence, its power is average. The small mountain did not stop moving. It continued to move downwards towards Suyu and it was only a foot away from him. At the last moment, Suyu bit his teeth. Space-time manipulation. A red light covered the sky and engulfed the small mountain with the intention of moving it away. However, as the target was too big, Suyu was unable to move it away. Yunyazi's old eyes finally turned grave. What surprised me the most is your ability to control the space. If I did not guess wrong, you must be an abnormal spirit constitution who is extraordinarily gifted. However, although you can control the space, you are still not gifted enough. What a pity. There was only half a foot left before the small mountain reached Suyu. Suyu could not hold on for any longer. Suyu's left eye flashed with a purple light and he exhibited Seal of Time. In a split second, the small mountain froze in the air. Yunyazi stood up abruptly and he was astonished. Innate time talent. How is that possible? You control both time and space, the two natural gifts. A time controller was considered a king, while a space controller was considered a god. If a martial artist possessed any of the two natural gifts, they could mock anyone who had the same cultivation base as them. Suyu possessed both of the natural gifts. Yunyazi, who was extremely strong and had countless experiences, was very astonished. After observing Suyu for some time, Yunyazi became a bit disappointed. Although someone with innate time talent is strong in controlling time, your manipulation of time is still not strong enough. You can still use it in the Holy King's realm, but it will be considered useless in the Dragon's realm. The small mountain was putting pressure on the Seal of Time and it finally broke free of the Seal of Time completely. Suyu gave a light roar. He wore the Divine Ice battle armor and blocked the small mountain. However, that extremely strong pressure caused Suyu to look like he did not have any power to block the small mountain and Suyu was crushed on the spot. Snort. Suyu spit out a mouthful of blood and he lay on his stomach as he was oppressed by the small mountain. The extremely strong pressure caused his body's organs to shake violently and his body felt like it was crushed. However, a scene where he was crushed into minced meat did not appear in his mind. Suyu was surprised. After a thorough examination, he discovered that there was a layer of weak soul energy covering the small mountain. I have used my soul energy to hold the weight of the small mountain. At the current moment, the small mountain only has 1/10 of its original weight. During the 1.5 months, you will carry this small mountain to train until you achieve 7th level peak Holy King. Of course, if you cannot bear hardships and decides to give up halfway through, you can put down the small mountain. However, you will lose your rights to become my disciple. If you cannot bear such a small hardship, you will not be able to become a talented person in the future. Suyu was crushed to the point that he could hardly move his fingers. However, he revolved all the energy in his body and bit his teeth. I will not give up. Good. Let's begin your training. 1/3 of that top-grade marrow cleansing elixir is sealed inside your body. Now, you can start to absorb its effect. Yunyuzi sat down again and gradually closed his eyes. This is the first step of your training. Stand up now. Previously, Suyu had absorbed 1/3 of the elixir and Yunyuzi had also absorbed 1/3 of the elixir. As for the remaining 1/3 of the elixir, it was sealed within Suyu's body. Breathe. Suyu was crushed to the point that he could not breathe properly and his face was extremely red. However, he listened to Yunyuzi's proposal and he gradually released the seal on the elixir. At that moment, the spiritual energy spread across Suyu's body. The powerful spiritual energy spread all over Suyu's body and caused him to be in extreme pain. Suyu felt like he was able to explode from the violent energy and his heart was beating extremely fast. Looking at Yunyuzi again, he closed his eyes in meditation, like he did not realize that Suyu was in a dangerous situation. In a situation that no one could help him, Suyu bit his teeth and he revolved the blood vessels in his body violently to spread the effects of the elixir all over his body hastily. Although he could still feel extreme pain, he realized, surprisingly, that under a great pressure, his blood circulation was better than normal. That violent energy of the elixir spread throughout his body hastily, preventing his body from exploding. It was difficult to endure the pain of the process as Suyu had to bite his teeth tightly and his forehead was filled with cold sweat. This was not as comfortable as the previous time where Yunyuzi used his soul to guide the spiritual energy in Suyu's body. However, Suyu had used his whole own abilities to gradually spread the violent energy throughout his body. At that moment, Yunyuzi, who closed his eyes to take a rest, said indifferently, "A human will only unleash his potentials when he is in a hopeless situation. Although I am unable to give you a hopeless situation, I am able to give you an extremely great pressure. In such a situation, your training will be twice as fast with half the efforts." Suyu understood Yunyuzi's intention in a flash and he was filled with gratitude. He absorbed the effects of the elixir like his life depended on it and he attempted to make a breakthrough in his cultivation base. After many hours, a tingly sound could be heard in Suyu's mind. Under the effects of the violent energy, Suyu finally made a breakthrough to 5th level peak Holy King. Stand up now. With the breakthrough of Suyu's cultivation base to the next tier, his spiritual energy increased greatly and his physique changed. Suyu bit his teeth, gave a light roar and stood up tried to get up with some difficulty. Rumble, rumble. The small mountain on top of Suyu shook violently like there was a frightening being at its bottom and the frightening being was trying to struggle free of its pressure. Suyu's forehead was dripping with sweat and he was biting his teeth tightly. He had nearly ground his teeth to nubs. A pitter-patter sound could be heard from his forelimbs, indicating that they were about to break. However, Suyu managed to climb up bit by bit. Although it was difficult and slow, he was gradually climbing up. Finally, after a few minutes, Suyu managed to get up carrying the small mountain in his arms. A stream of blood overflowed from the corners of his lips. Although he was in dire straits due to being crushed for a long time, he was unable to conceal the happiness in his eyes. Elder, I have managed to stand up. Yunyuzi opened his eyes slowly and nodded his head slightly. You were 2 hours faster than expected. Your willpower is indeed better than an average person. If that is the case, then we will proceed with the second step of your training. Walk with the small mountain. The first step was to stand up. The second step was to walk with the small mountain. As though he was like a newborn baby, everything started all over again. Under Yunyuzi's advice, Suyu discovered that he had been reborn during his training. Suyu started to concentrate. He carried the small mountain and continued to absorb the remaining effects of the elixir like his life depended on it. Yunyuzi was satisfied with Suyu's training and his devotion. He then revealed a mysterious expression. If you succeed in taking the first step, I will bring you to a dreamlike place that you yearn to be at. That will be the place where you will achieve the Dragon Realm. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 173, Incredible Icy Raging Flame. The place where I yearn to be, even in my dreams. A place that was considered dreamlike in Yunyuzi's eyes. What kind of incredible place is it? Suyu found such a place unimaginable. Yunyuzi's words had caused Suyu to burn with energy, and he continued to absorb the effects of the elixir like his life depended on it. Under the extremely great pressure, his blood circulated even faster. The effects of the elixir were absorbed into Suyu's 4 limbs at an unprecedented speed, causing Suyu's cultivation base to rise upwards. Finally, after many hours, his body had completely absorbed the effects of the elixir. A tingly sound resounded in Suyu's mind and he made a break through the 6th level Holy King. In the Forbidden Ruins, Suyu took 1 day to completely absorb the effects of 1/3 of the elixir. However, when he was under the extremely great pressure, he only took half a day to completely absorb the effects of 1/3 of the elixir. Sure enough, like what Yunyuzi had said, under a situation with extreme pressure, he unleashed his potential and he achieved results twice as fast with only half the effort. 6th level Holy King. Suyu found it hard to believe that he made a breakthrough so quickly. Before Suyu went to the abyss of Wutong, he had only made a breakthrough to 4th level upper tier Holy King. In just a mere half a month, he had achieved 6th level Holy King. It was as though he was in a dream. If Suyu did not experience it himself, he would find it hard to believe that it was possible. Having become strong like never before, Suyu's confidence rose greatly. Shianyan contest. Shiruolan, Kaoshuan, Hanji, all of you, just wait. I, Suyu, am catching up to all of you step by step. In no time, I will defeat all of you. Suyu cast his excitement aside. He looked at the tip of his toe, bit his teeth, and took a step forward. When he raised his left leg, his remaining right leg supported the whole weight of the small mountain. Crack. A small cracking sound indicated that Suyu's right leg's bone had cracked slightly. An extremely painful sensation could be felt from his right leg, causing Suyu to gasp. If he moved even the slightest bit, there was a possibility that his right leg would be completely crushed into minced meat. However, Suyu endured the extreme pain, bit his teeth and took a step forward with his left leg. Rumble. Bang. Under the great pressure, when his left leg landed on the floor, it was as if a meteorite had crashed into the ground, causing the bottom of his leg to have a small explosion. A 1 foot wide and half a foot deep horrifying footprint appeared and it could be seen clearly. He had finally taken a step forward. Yunyuzi, who closed his eyes and was meditating, opened his eyes slightly. His pupils were shining with a thread of admiration. You are half a day faster than I expected. Yunyuzi stood up leisurely and smiled. Since this is the case, I shall fulfill my promise. As your reward for successfully taking a step forward, I will bring you to a place. Whiz. Yunyuzi waved his robe. Suyu felt that the wind engulfed him. That unstoppable air current caused Suyu and the small mountain to be sucked into the heaven. He could hear the fierce wind whistling and he was moving at an extremely fast speed. Compared to the eagle in the faction, he was moving at a speed that was more than 10 times faster. Is this speed really achievable by a soul body? How strong is Yunyazi? Is it really not comparable to that Miss Hua? Suyu could not help but suspect that Yunyazi was hiding his true abilities intentionally. As if he knew what Suyu was thinking, Yunyazi gave a true yet fake smile. You do not need to guess how strong I am. The only thing you need to remember is that you must rely on yourself for everything. Whether or not you become my disciple in my future, I can only help you with your training. Your hostility to others is your own affairs and I will not interfere with it. Similarly, even if you were killed by others in front of me, I will not interfere. At most, I will only kill that person who has killed my disciple after you die. Suyu was stupefied. What a cruel method. However, when he thought about it again, he felt relieved. Before he had a master, didn't he fend for himself step by step? Back then, he was considered fortunate to have a master who gave him additional advice. Suyu would always manage, help or not. Yes, I understand. After half a day, the fierce wind stopped. Suyu felt dizzy. When both his legs landed on the ground, he could feel the great pressure on his back immediately. Surprised, he immediately bit his teeth and carried the small mountain like his life depended on it. Crack. He could hear a cracking sound from under his legs. It was the sound of ice cracking. Suyu felt different. When he looked down, he realized that he was standing on top of a vast ice lake. The surface of the lake was frozen with white ice that was tens of feet deep. It was so deep that even though Suyu was carrying a small mountain that weighed 100 tons, he did not break the ice at all. At the same time, the cold temperature engulfed his body so deeply that even his bones could feel it. Crack. Both of Suyu's legs became frozen atop the ice surface. If it were a normal person, then it would not be considered strange. However, Suyu was an ice-based martial artist who could condense cold energy into ice flame. Given that he had a surprising amount of cold energy within his body, who was not fearful of him? However, he was actually frozen. This is an incredible ice lake that is tens and thousands of miles away from the abyss of Wutong. The precipitation of cold energy within the lake water had caused incredible ice to be condensed over countless years. When someone of the dragon realm touches the incredible ice would disappear in an instant. As for the cold energy in your body, dispose of all of it. Even if you don't feel ashamed of it, I feel ashamed of it. Yunyazi sat on top of the lake leisurely. With the extremely cold energy, it was extremely difficult to approach him. He kept moving his white eyes and he gave off a cold expression. Dispose of all of it. Suyu's lips twitched. The two kinds of ice flames were obtained by him after he narrowly escaped from death. However, Suyu knew in his heart that those two ice flames had not been of any use for a very long time. As the enemies he met gradually became stronger, the blue-green ice flame was unable to keep up with the pace of his improvement. The incredible ice in the lake would emit ice flame continuously and it is known as the incredible icy raging flame. Although its power is average, with your cultivation base, you can absorb 3 lumps of it at max. If you absorb 1 lump of it, the numerous ice-based legacy-level cultivation techniques that you possess will have no problems in making a breakthrough to the next class. If you could absorb 3 lumps of it, combined with your level of comprehension, it would be easy for you to hone them completely to its highest grade. However, the number of lumps that you can absorb will depend on your willpower and efforts. I will not take any actions to help you. Suyu breathed rapidly and his eyes were burning with fighting spirit. To Suyu, who was trained in ice techniques, his current location was a holy land that he yearned to go to even in his dreams. The 3 legacy-level cultivation techniques, glazed ice flame, icy divine wings, sigh of ice, only required him to absorb a lump of incredible icy raging flame to make a breakthrough to the next class. Incidentally, let me remind you something. If you stay at the same spot of the surface of the lake for too long, you will be eaten by the incredible ice sea demon. As such, you had better start moving quickly. As if it was responding to Yunyazi's words, below the lake, which was tens of feet deep, a 100-foot-long black giant catfish appeared indistinctively. The catfish had overwhelming bloody red eyes that were filled with greed, and it was staring coldly at Suyu, who was on the surface of the lake. At the next moment, the giant head headed upwards and bumped into the ice. Rumble. Bang. The surface of the lake shook fiercely. Half of the 10-foot deep ice was bumped into pieces. Suyu staggered along the ice and he almost fell down. At the same time, his eyes shrank. Dragon Realm. Yunyuzi gave a true yet fake smile. You are right. This catfish is of Dragon Realm and its ability is not very different from that female child who was with you. This catfish has a cultivation base at Dragon Realm level 1 peak. If you do not wish to be eaten, make your move quickly. Dragon. Level 1 peak. Suyu was extremely terrified. His legs started to tremble and the trembling spread throughout his whole body. Seeing that the catfish was about to bump into the ice again, Suyu moved his legs hurriedly. However, as Suyu's body was under a great pressure, his movement was as slow as a snail. Due to the difficulty he faced, he only managed to take one step forward. Due to the collision of the catfish and the ice, there was only a thin layer of ice remaining under his legs. The giant catfish had a joking expression that looked human. Its giant body dived into the water again and it was preparing to launch a frightening attack. Suyu's feet were emitting cold air and his inner energy surged. In imminent peril, the spiritual energy within his body vibrated violently at an unprecedented speed. At death's door, Suyu unleashed his potential again. Rub, rub, rub. He took a few steps consecutively. In imminent peril, Suyu carried the small mountain and went away from the area with the cracked ice. Bang! Crash! The giant head of the giant catfish opened up its big mouth, appearing from the ice surface and swallowing the position that Suyu stood at previously. Suyu was a few feet away from ending up in the mouth of the giant catfish. However, the giant catfish did not return to the water. It revealed a joking expression and climbed onto the ice surface. It then crawled on the smooth ice surface quickly and headed for Suyu. Suyu gasped. He had forgotten that he was carrying a small mountain. He opened up his steps, revolved all his spiritual energy and escaped like his life depended on it. Initially, Suyu could only take a step forward with some difficulty. After which, he became able to walk slowly and then quickly. As of then, he finally became able to run. Luckily, the giant catfish was not used to crawling on the mainland. Hence, its speed was not fast and Suyu was barely able to keep his distance from the catfish. However, as the situation carried on like this, Suyu's spiritual energy was depleted and the gap between the catfish and him gradually closed up. Suyu caught a glimpse of the hole that the giant catfish climbed out of abruptly. A lump of scarlet flame slowly floated on top of the water. The incredible icy raging flame have appeared. It is up to you whether you can get it, Yunyuzi said casually. That is the incredible icy raging flame. Suyu's eyes were burning with fighting spirit. However, it was a pity that there was only one lump of it. According to Yunyuzi's words, the incredible icy raging flame was not too different from the incredible ice and its power was average. Once the incredible icy raging flame appeared on top of the water, the hole created by the giant catfish suddenly became frozen without any reason and it changed into the ice that was tens of feet deep again. At the same time, the whole surface of the lake was covered by the scarlet ice flame quickly and the ice layer atop the lake became 5 feet thicker. Looking at it, the whole surface of the lake was like it was burning with a layer of scarlet raging flame. As the scarlet ice flame spread across the surface of the lake, it covered the catfish's huge body. The scarlet ice flame then turned into a layer of red ice. The ice entered the catfish's marrow, causing it to squeal in agony. Its flesh then turned into a red residue of ice quickly with a speed that a naked eye can perceive. The catfish's life was extinguished in an instant. Thump. With a clear and melodious noise, the ice sculpture of the giant catfish shattered into pieces in the sky and became pieces of sparkling red ice. A dragon realm demonic beast that was as strong as Mo Wu actually turned into ice. Suyu swallowed firmly. What a frightening ice flame. This kind of power is considered average. In comparison, the blue-green ice flame within Suyu's body was equivalent to trash that was not fit to be seen. However, the scarlet ice flame did not let Suyu off. As if it was a raging flame, it gave off a whistling sound and it wanted to swallow Suyu. The expression of Suyu, who was carrying the small mountain, changed greatly, and Suyu ran towards an area outside the ice lake hurriedly. He finally realized that acquiring 3 lumps of ice flame was a fantasy that was hilarious. Instead of saying 3 lumps, even 1 lump of ice flame would be able to kill him 100 times. Yunyazi remained composed and revealed a thoughtful expression. I forgot to tell you. If it was the Dragon Realm level 7 Miss Hua, she might not even be concerned with 1 lump of the incredible icy raging flame. Little kid, I do not know, but how many lumps did you plan to absorb? The blue veins on Suyu's forehead were twitching continuously and his mind wanted to curse at someone. Why didn't Yunyazi tell him that earlier? Although the incredible icy raging flame was icy flame emitted by the incredible ice, it was still unusually frightening. Having no time to reply Yunyazi, Suyu's soul was as if it had left his body. He carried the small mountain and took vigorous strides as if he was flying. Thump, thump, thump. Every step that Suyu took was as if there was an earthquake, putting so much pressure on the ice that a creaking sound could be heard. However, the frightening scarlet ice flame was moving at a speed faster than Suyu. The good thing was that Suyu was about not very far away from the shore. He was about 10 steps away. The scarlet ice flame swallowed everything and headed for Suyu. Suyu fled desperately. Only 9 more steps. The incredible icy raging flame was about 5 feet away from Suyu. Rub, rub, rub. 4 steps away. Thump. In imminent peril, Suyu succeeded in jumping onto the shore. The incredible icy raging flame collided with the shore and disappeared in an instant. As if the incredible icy raging flame was unsatisfied, it roared angrily for a few times before gradually withdrawing back to the middle of the ice lake and seeped into the ice lake. Breathe. Suyu wiped off the cold sweat on his cold sweat and he felt very uneasy. What a close shave. If he were a step later, he would have ended up like the giant catfish. However, he could hear a faint cracking sound. When Suyu looked down, his heart sank. There was a thread of weak incredible icy raging flame that had splashed onto his legs and it was emitting a magnificent red light. The red light was the eruption of a deadly ice. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 174. The Rebirth of Suyu after breaking out of his cocoon. Crack. The weak scarlet light erupted and became 100 feet of scarlet raging flames. It wanted to swallow up Suyu. Moreover, Suyu could not react in time. He was frozen by the red ice on the spot. The scarlet cold energy passed through his body surface, eroded his flesh, and wanted to turn him into ice. Even though Suyu's body was frozen, his mind could still think. The shadow of death had caused his heart to beat extremely fast and his blood was flowing extremely fast as well. If I don't resist the scarlet cold energy, I will die here. I don't believe that I cannot do anything to a thread of the remnants of the incredible icy raging flames. Biting his teeth secretly, Suyu gave a light roar and the blue-green ice flame rose from his body. Titter. Titter. A strange scene appeared. Once Suyu's blue-green ice flame came out from his body and touched the incredible icy raging flame, it melted like a snowflake and turned into a blue-green smoke which curled upwards. The ice flame that he obtained after training for a long time disappeared into nothingness in a short while. I don't believe that I cannot suppress you. Suyu had no time to be in distress. He revolved all the spiritual energy in his body crazily to keep the incredible icy cold flame in check. The revolved spiritual energy was like it had disappeared. The scarlet ice flame entered Suyu's body mercilessly and started to destroy everything inside his body as though it was a joke. Again, Suyu shouted angrily in his heart. Combined with the pressure from the small mountain, his blood vessels revolved quickly and moved all the blood energy and spiritual energy within his body. However, the incredible icy raging flame was like it was sneering at Suyu. There were no obstacles standing in its way and it pulverized all the obstructions. Suyu's blood energy and spiritual energy were unable to withstand a single attack from the incredible icy raging flame, and it froze into nothingness. The big piece of raging flame entered Suyu's body arrogantly. It took a long time to enter Suyu's body, like it was entering a place where there was no one, and it took Suyu's life sarcastically. From the body surface to the internal blood energy channel, from the internal blood energy channel to the flesh, from the flesh to the organs, and, finally, Suyu's icy and exquisite heart. If his heart were frozen, his life would cease. The absolute oppression caused Suyu to feel hopeless. He could only feel that he was gradually entering the abyss of death. Death was never as clear and intense as the current moment where it was right in front of him. It was the end of his life. Suyu saw his life flash before his eyes. The Xianyu prefecture, the imperial capital, the sanctuary, and the Zhenlong continent. He had walked many paths, experienced many things, and met many people. However, there were three things that he could not dismiss from his mind. Li Guang's revenge, Xianya's life, and also, a young lady who had promised him that she would use her eyes and witness the wonderful continent on his behalf. He regretted not being able to live up to their expectations. If he died, who would avenge Li Guang? If Xianya knew about his death, would she be depressed? If he died, would Jingyu be persistent and continue to witness the wonderful continent on his behalf? Dissatisfaction and reluctance became an anger which was burning in his chest, like it wanted to burn him into ash. How can I die here? Before I accomplish everything I need to do, I shall not die. The incredible icy raging flame which clung to Suyu had reached Suyu's icy and exquisite heart, and it was about to swallow his heart in one go. Suyu had no way out. Do you think that you are the only one who knows how to swallow up stuff? Suyu's eyes turned cold and his heart contained a dying will and insanity. He shouted furiously. His icy and exquisite heart beat abruptly and swallowed the incredible icy raging flame which had entered his heart. The ice flame was so frightening that it extinguished the life of the dragon realm catfish immediately. However, Suyu swallowed the ice flame of his accord. Was he trying to bring about his own destruction? However, the witty incredible icy cold flame which could pass through the soul became slightly stupefied. It then retreated fearfully at once. Without hesitation, his icy and exquisite heart rose in revolt, and it swallowed all the ice flame which was near him abruptly. Creak. A terrifying scream could be heard. The incredible icy raging flame was like tidewater. It retreated from Suyu's body hurriedly and fled toward the ice lake. Suyu's eyes turned cold. Trying to escape. Whiz. Suyu's body flashed and caught up with the ice flame atop the ice lake. He grabbed strands of ice flame, stuffed it into his mouth, and ate them on the spot. Once the ice flames entered his body, his icy and exquisite heart swallowed them immediately. The remaining ice flame became frightened and headed deep into the ice lake. Suyu laughed coldly. It is now my turn to chase after you. Snort. A string of divine ice threads was like it was a steel needle, and it was plunged into the ice layer which was 10 feet thick to chase after the remaining ice flame. With the help of the divine ice threads, the ice flame was retrieved from the bottom of the ice lake. Those ice flame were eaten by Suyu and swallowed by his icy and exquisite heart. Whiz. Whiz. A strange scene appeared. Suyu's actions had caused lumps of scarlet incredible icy raging flame below the surface of the lake to escape continuously. Suyu was a matchless demon king. Suyu uttered a long and loud cry. Divine ice ring. Snort. Snort. Hundreds of strings of divine ice threads blotted out the sky, and the earth was plunged into the bottom of the ice lake. It forcefully caught lumps and lumps of the incredible icy raging flame. Terrifying, horrible shrieks reverberated repeatedly within the soul of the ice flame. Suyu's divine ice threads were dyed completely red by the ice flame, like they had retrieved blood. In a short amount of time, Suyu's body had absorbed a lump of incredible icy raging flame. As for Suyu himself, his whole body was covered by the ice. Suyu closed his eyes. As he swallowed the ice flame continuously, he also started to hone his 3 ice-based cultivation techniques immediately. Yunyazi had a leisurely expression, and he finally revealed a gratified smile. You have really done it. The incredible ice had experienced 1,000 years of precipitation, causing it to have a weak soul. The stronger your willpower to resist is, the more afraid the incredible icy cold flame is. For the ice flame to escape fearfully, it seems that you have a strong fighting spirit that defied overwhelming odds. Now is the time where you face many obstacles as you try to achieve the dragon realm. The level that your cultivation base can make a breakthrough to will depend on your luck. Yunyazi whispered softly and waited for Suyu patiently. The time was like water and it passed quietly. Half a month passed. There was only 1 month's time before the Shianyan contest. On that day, at the Abyss of Wutong, multiple elders from the faction descended into the Abyss of Wutong. The first person to arrive was the faction master, followed by the second and 10th elder who woke up from their seclusion. Having gotten the report where the Abyss of Wutong was attacked by the Empire of Darkness, a great number of 6th-level Holy King disciples had been captured and that it was unknown whether the 4th elder was dead or alive from Mowu and the other 5th-level Holy Kings who had escaped, the faction was shocked and it immediately came to the Abyss of Wutong to investigate. As they looked around the deserted abyss, the expressions of the three of them turned grave. Lixian's faction master's heart was anxious and fearful. He said in a low and soft voice, "Has the Empire of Darkness extended their hands to the district of Lixian faction?" The 10th elder revealed a fearful expression. Although the 4th elder was a lot stronger than him, it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The 2nd elder's voice was hoarse and ear-piercing. The person that should be detested the most should be the person who remained unconcerned about our request. Her words had caused the faction master's expression to turn gloomy and unpleasant. Previously, they had reported the intrusion of the Empire of Darkness to the Alliance and had requested the assistance of their strong martial artists. However, the response that they got was that the Empire of Darkness was ready to make trouble in every place of the continent and the Alliance had no time to give their attention to Lixian faction, which was at a remote place. After a long time, the faction master said in a low voice, "We can only rescue our people by ourselves. Search the area and see if we can find the whereabouts of the 4th elder." The faction had paid a heavy price to raise an elder. Hence, they could not give up on the 4th elder. The 2nd elder's eyes flashed and her pale eyes were filled with concern. From Mowu's words, Suyu had not gone too far away from the Abyss of Wutong and it was unknown whether he was safe. After 10 days, the three of them assembled again. With the Abyss of Wutong as the center, the three of them had searched tens of thousands of miles. However, they did not find any traces of the 4th elder. He might be fraught with grim possibilities. The faction master had a serious expression and he sighed softly. After 10 days of search, there was still no information regarding the 4th elder. After the three of them remained silent for some time, the faction master could not help but said, "Let's return to the faction. During troubled times, we cannot leave for too long." As the faction master spoke, he shot a glance towards the 10th elder. The true meaning behind his words was that he could not allow the great elder to have his own way and also assume command of the faction at the same time. After which, the faction master questioned the 2nd elder with concern. "Since you have left your secluded area earlier, how is the recuperation of your injuries?" As the 2nd elder was the only person who could team up with the faction master to go against the great elder, the faction master naturally had to be concerned about her. However, he did not understand the 2nd elder. It was said that she had prepared to shut herself off from the outside world for about 3 months. Hence, why did she leave her secluded area after 1 month? The 2nd elder said hoarsely and coldly, "Don't worry, I won't die so easily." After hearing her words, which did not appreciate his kindness that he was used to, the faction master smiled and returned to the faction with the two of them. At the incredible ice lake, it was unknown when it had appeared, but, atop the ice surface, there was a Scarlet Ice Mountain that was 1,000 feet high tall. When looked at it from afar, it looked like a burning volcano. By looking at it closely, one would discover that it was a red ice mountain. Moreover, within the ice mountain, there was a shadow. The shadow looked like it was a butterfly in deep sleep that was about to be reborn after breaking out from its cocoon. Yunyuzi opened his eyes slowly and his face was full of admiration. What shocking willpower. I had thought that you could only endure for half a month. However, I did not expect to be able to endure for 1 whole month. Moreover, you have changed completely and thoroughly. Your improvement is greater than I expected. Crack. A faint noise reverberated across the vast ice field. Within the red ice mountain, the eyes of the sealed shadow opened slowly. In a split second, the numerous incredible icy raging flame at the bottom of the lake escaped fearfully, causing the bottom of the lake to be dyed scarlet as though it was burning fiercely. Rumble, bang, bang. The ice mountain, which was 1,000 feet high, shook. After which, a bang sound could be heard. The sound then changed into broken ice cubes which splashed into the sky. For a moment, numerous shattered scarlet pieces of ice fell like a blood rain. A shadow drifted in the cluster of tens of thousands of blood rain droplets before descending. As the silver hair fluttered, there was a nail-sized fire seal in the space between the eyebrows. The seal was lifelike and lively, like it was a real fire, and it was moving slightly in the space between the eyebrows. The eyes were shining with red light from time to time, which was strange and furtive. Combined with silver hair that was floating in the air, his face, which was as handsome as a celestial being, gave others an unusual and charming feeling. Compared to his indifferent temperament previously, Suyu's current temperament was completely different. Suyu raised his head and looked at the small mountain that he was carrying. He then smiled. This smile was weird and different from usual. Elder, you can release your soul energy, Suyu said indifferently. Yunyuzi nodded his head. He stroked his robe and the other 9/10ths of the small mountain's weight, which was carried by his soul energy, descended. However, Suyu carried the small mountain with ease. He casually extended his palm and carried the small mountain with one hand. His expression looked relaxed and there was no pressure on him. The weight of the small mountain is fine. Suyu smiled. To him, the small mountain was an extremely heavy giant rock that no longer has the weight to oppress him. Yunyuzi wore a smile on his face. He flicked his finger and a layer of soul energy engulfed the small mountain at once. The small mountain became smaller progressively at a speed that a naked eye could perceive. In the end, it became as small as the size of a palm. I have helped you to compress the small mountain. Its weight remains unchanged and you can carry it along with you as you move. Suyu felt grateful and he smiled. Thank you, Elder. After his speech, he used divine ice threads to hand the small mountain on his waist. He took one breath, looked into the direction of Lixian faction and whispered. Shianyan contest, I will be coming for you. Chi Ruolan, Cao Xuan and Han Ji, I hope that all of you will not be too surprised. Suyu's eyes turned cold and he vanished into thin air. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 175, Shianyan Contest. Half a month passed. In Lixian faction, the hearts of the people were fluctuating. Many disciples who had shut themselves off from the outside world woke up from their seclusion. Their minds became disturbed as they walked about. Be it a friendly duel to learn from one another or be it the exchange of new knowledge with one another, the reason for their awakening was simple. The Shianyan contest, which was held once every 5 years, was in sight. The Shianyan contest was considered a glorious duel. There was nothing else like it. Anyone who got through the Shianyan contest would earn the right to enter the rumored ancient Shianyan temple and undergo a major development. In the past, there was a 7th-level Holy King disciple who went into the temple and obtained countless opportunities. When she came out from the temple, she became someone of Dragon Realm level 3. After that, she became an elder of the faction. She was the 2nd elder of the faction. She was a legendary person who accomplished amazing feats throughout her life. The time to enter the ancient Shianyan temple, which appeared once every 5 years, had come. The chance to fight into the top 20 and obtain the chance to develop himself was right in front of the disciples' eyes. Perhaps that was the chance for them to bring about a radical change in their own situation and also swim across the heaven. At the 2nd elder's yard, Mowu stood behind the 2nd elder and bowed down. Her beautiful eyes were filled with concern. Master, why did you leave your secluded area in advance? Because the second elder left her secluded area earlier, her injuries looked like they had gotten worse. The second elder's voice was natural and graceful, making it pleasant to listen to. I was looking for information regarding an ancient book. Mo Wu was extremely intelligent. Ancient book? Is it regarding King Xianya's phoenix of death? Yes. The second elder nodded her chin and did not explain much in detail. However, her pale eyes were filled with a bit of uncertainty. She had taken Xianya with her and shut both of them off from the outside world as a form of extra precaution. However, when she interacted with King Xianya, she realized that King Xianya's phoenix of death was quite abnormal. Hence, she gave up on shutting King Xianya and herself off from the outside world and decided to look for information regarding an ancient book. Mo Wu felt jealous. Her master still showed favoritism for Suyu as per before. I hope that he does not let your good intentions down, Mo Wu said. The second elder did not reply. Instead, she said softly, to you, the ancient Shianyan temple is a place for you to develop yourself. Hence, do not be careless during Shianyan contest tomorrow. I understand. I will take advantage of the opportunity to make a breakthrough in my cultivation base and earn the right to enter the alliance. When Mo Wu mentioned the word alliance, her heart shook and her eyes became extremely firm like never before. The second elder sighed. I accepted you as my disciple, not for my own selfish motives. Hence, you do not need to be persistent in joining the alliance. Mo Wu remained silent and her eyes were as firm as before. The next day, it was finally time for the Shianyan contest that the audience was looking forward to. The faction master, the faction's 10 great elders, the management staff, and the disciples within the faction showed up for the contest. The gloriousness of the occasion was unique. Mo Wu looked around her and she became worried. Suyu had not shown up yet. Could it be that he was unable to get here in time? The second elder's pale pupils were also filled with a bit of concern. Suyu had worked very hard thus far and he finally got into the abyss of Wutong. Moreover, he managed to continue living and he had also gotten the opportunity to participate in the Shianyan contest. If he were late, then it would indeed be a pity. Since everyone is present, let's begin now. The faction master declared the start of the contest indifferently. The head of the referee was Xuanhuan, the clan master of External Affairs Division. She flew to the center of the arena and she announced the rules of the contest expressionlessly. The contest is split into 3 segments. The first 2 segments will be a selection round and the last segment will be the final battle. For the first round of selection, the most outstanding martial artists will be selected from among the 6th-level Holy Kings. Moreover, only one person will be able to enter the next round of selection. After her speech, the group of 6th-level Holy Kings was stunned. Among the hundreds of 6th-level Holy Kings, only one person could enter the next round of selection. The cruel assessment had caused them to be stupefied. As for the specifics of the assessment, the faction will send a 7th-level lower-tier Holy King to take charge of the arena. The 6th-level Holy King disciples who are participating in the selection round will fight with a 7th-level Holy King. If you can withstand more attacks from the 7th-level Holy King, then your results will be better as well. Under the observations of the higher-ups, it would be clear whether the 6th-level Holy King had managed to withstand the blows from the 7th-level Holy King. Hence, no one would dare to cheat. Those rules were indeed fair and square. 7th-level Holy King. Many of the 6th-level Holy King participants were shocked. I give up. In no time, a number of 6th-level lower-tier Holy Kings made a rational decision to give up after they pondered for some time. Since the gap between a 7th-level Holy King and them was too big, it was pointless for them to go to the arena. They felt that by relaxing their mind and observing the battles attentively, their gains would be greater as compared to fighting a losing match in the arena. As such, only the 6th-level upper-tier Holy Kings and the 6th-level peak Holy Kings remained as they wanted to attempt to get into the next selection round. Xuanhuan had a dull expression. Let's invite the Deputy Clan Master of the Elixir Production Division, Wu Baiyi, to take charge of the arena. Wu Baiyi was about 50 years old. He had a white face and he looked composed. He stood behind the fifth elder and he was beside the fifth elder's first disciple. Wu Baiyi was promoted by the fifth elder to his current position. Hence, it was natural that he was well acquainted with the fifth elder's disciple, Wei Kang. After Shi Ruolan's speech, Wei Kang cupped his fists and congratulated Wu Baiyi. Uncle Master Wu, congratulations for being able to take on such a big role. Wu Baiyi was a bit surprised. The person tasked to take charge of the arena was decided on the spot and he was not informed beforehand. With a happy expression, Wu Baiyi flew to the arena and started to take charge of it. Wei Kang's face wore an indifferent smile. He turned his head and talked to a fat young man who had a cultivation base of 6th level peak Holy King. Lu Qian, remember to perform properly later on. Although Uncle Master Wu would not go easy on you in front of the higher-ups, you are very familiar with his moves. Compared to the others, you have the advantage. Hence, you will definitely be able to take many moves of his. Lu Qian was the fifth elder's second disciple, meaning that he was Wei Kang's junior. His body was dark and fat and he looked like a stone roller. However, he was extremely powerful with a cultivation base of 6th level peak Holy King, which was a step away from 7th level Holy King. Seeing that his uncle Master Wu was in charge of the arena, his fat face squeezed out a thankful expression and he nodded his head hurriedly. Yes, Senior Wei. Lu Qian rolled his eyes. If I meet Suyu, I will help Senior to teach him a lesson. Senior has a high status and I know that you felt that it was not worth to argue with a small fry like him. However, I cannot tolerate the fact that he showed off his power in front of you. In the Forbidden Ruins, Suyu had stolen the spotlight from Wei Kang many times in front of Mo Wu. In addition, Mo Wu was protecting Suyu. Hence, those two incidents had caused Wei Kang to be burning with jealousy. Wei Kang imagined Lu Qian teaching Suyu a lesson and nodded his head. You can do that, but don't overdo it. After all, there were many higher-ups at their location and they could not overdo it. Junior understands. The selection round will commence. When I read out your name, come onto the stage. Shi Ruolan took out a name list and started to read out the names. Ma Shaoling, please step onto the arena. Ma Shaoling was a female young lady with a cultivation base of 6th level upper tier Holy King. Her charming body leaped onto the arena. She looked weak and a bit shy. She bit her lip slightly and her face was a bit red. She then made a bow. Uncle Master Wu, please go easy on me. Wu Baiyi stayed composed. His expression was gentle yet dull. You can make your move now. Ma Shaoling took a deep breath and 20 jade-like needles wrapped around her beautiful palm. Pardon me, I am about to attack. Pear Blossom Rainstorm. After giving a charming shout, Ma Shaoling's temperament changed from weak to swift and fierce. The 20 jade-like needles on her palm released a white fluorescent light and every lump of light looked like a pear blossom. When the 20 pear blossoms came together, it looked magnificent and beautiful. However, as Ma Shaoling moved her jade-like palm, the murderous intentions concealed in the pear blossoms were like it was a torrential rain and it rained down on Wu Baiyi. Under the effects of the fluorescent light of the pear blossoms, the jade-like needles were hidden and it was difficult to find out where it was. Wu Baiyi's expression was normal. He laughed indifferently and commented, "You are well trained in using hidden weapons. Your hidden weapons also contain illusions, making it difficult for an inattentive person to block your attack. However, as it is a hidden weapon, it is only useful when the enemy is caught off guard. When engaging an enemy face to face, its power will fall drastically." As he talked, he raised one of his hands high up into the sky and moved his 5 fingers. Snort. Snort. The pear blossoms were destroyed one by one and the jade-like needles that were hidden fell onto the ground one by one with a clear and melodious jade-like sound that was pleasant to the ear. After which, Wu Baiyi flicked his finger and a thread of tyrannical spiritual energy attacked Ma Shaoling's body. The strong wind blew all over her body and she was blown out of the arena. Ma Shaoling, one move. Shi Ruolan declared calmly and recorded down her score at the same time. Second person, Zhan Fepeng. Zhan Fepeng was a 6th level upper tier holy king and he specialized in lightness skills. However, similar to Ma Shaoling, after he stepped onto the arena, he was defeated by one move. Third person, Huang Bing. I concede defeat. After observing 2 matches, many 6th level upper tier holy kings chose to give up. The gap between Wu Baiyi and them was too big and it was difficult for them to withstand even one of Wu Baiyi's moves. Hence, it was pointless, even if they participated in the selection round. Fourth person. I concede defeat. Fifth person. A great number of 6th level upper tier holy kings chose to give up. Those who persevered were all defeated by one move. 100th person. Luo Tianzhang. Luo Tianzhang was a 6th level peak holy king. He specialized in lightness skills and fire techniques. His body attacked and defended at the same time and his abilities were powerful. Among the 6th level peak holy kings, he was considered a veteran. He had also faced many dangerous people, causing him to have plentiful fighting experience. Whiz. Luo Tianzhang leaped onto the area and he was filled with an overwhelming fighting spirit. Uncle Master Wu, pardon me, I am about to attack. Magnificent waves. Luo Tianzhang encircled Wu Baiyi and moved quickly. Many fragmentary shadows encircled Wu Baiyi. To the naked eye alone, it was difficult to ascertain which shadow was real or fake. Looking at it from afar, Wu Baiyi was like he had gotten himself caught within layers upon layers of waves and he was surrounded. Burning sun's flame. The fragmentary shadows of Lan Tianzhang breathed fire one after another. The scarlet raging flames came from all directions towards Wu Baiyi, causing Wu Baiyi to be caught in a sea of fire. Although Wu Baiyi's expression turned a bit grave, he was still relaxed. Your movement techniques and attacks come from the same body. These 2 moves are quite compatible with one another and they complement one another smoothly. However, your shortcoming is that since you honed these 2 moves concurrently, they are not very powerful and is average as a whole. After his speech, his 10 fingers emitted spiritual energy and extinguished the raging flames which came from all directions. Luo Tianzhang's expression changed slightly. He used his movement technique again to get close to Wu Baiyi so that he can engage Wu Baiyi in close combat. However, Wu Baiyi easily predicted Luo Tianzhang's movement. He attacked Luo Tianzhang's should with his palm and sent him flying out of the arena. Luo Tianzhang, 2 moves. Shi Ruolan nodded her head slightly. After all, Luo Tianzhang was only a 6th level peak holy king. For him to force Wu Baiyi to use a second move, he was considered quite good. After which, tens of 6th level peak holy kings went onto the arena one after another. However, there was only a handful of them who withstood 2 moves of Wu Baiyi. Last person, Lu Qian. Whiz. A black and fat shadow leaped onto the arena. The shadow belonged to Wei Kang's junior, Lu Qian, who was a 6th level peak holy king. Although he was fat, his abilities were outstanding and he was also a veteran 6th level peak holy king. It was said that he had dueled with Luo Tianzhang before. Within 30 moves, he defeated Luo Tianzhang. Uncle Master Wu, pardon me, I am about to attack. Lu Qian had a strange expression and he attacked openly. He specialized in close-quarter fist techniques. Big Dipper's 7-star fist. Lu Qian extended both his fists. Within a few breaths' time, he launched 7 fists of attack. A thread of admiration appeared in Shi Ruolan's eyes. Legacy-level cultivation technique of Stage 1 top class. It is only a step away from Stage 2. Wu Baiyi's expression turned a bit grave and there was nothing he could do. As Wu Baiyi dueled with Lu Qian quite frequently, Lu Qian naturally knew Wu Baiyi's weak point. That was close-quarter combat. Rumble. Bang. With a bit of cautiousness, Wu Baiyi used his absolute abilities to repel Lu Qian. However, using his experience from his duels with Wu Baiyi, Lu Qian took a step to dodge Wu Baiyi's attack and used his fist technique to counterpart of Wu Baiyi's attack. At the cost of a light injury, he managed to take on Wu Baiyi's attack. Again, Lu Qian's eyes were secretly filled with excitement. From the looks of it, the only spot to enter the next selection round belonged to him. 3 times, Lu Qian got his way. Although he was finally sent flying out of the arena, he had succeeded in withstanding 4 moves. Qi Ruolan nodded her head contentedly. Lu Qian had managed to withstand 4 moves and his result is the most outstanding. Mo Wu was anxious. Even though the first round of assessment was about to come to an end, Suyu had not shown up yet. The second elder frowned deeply. If that were the case, Suyu's hard work thus far would be completely wasted. I hereby declare that the first round of assessment is over. The selected person is Lu. A scarlet light pierced through the heaven. It was like a burning meteorite was glimmering within the thick layers of cloud. The audience only managed to catch a glimpse within the thick layers of clouds. It was like there was a flash of a red lightning. After which, everything became peaceful again. Many people thought that it was an illusion. However, a giant vortex suddenly appeared within those thick layers of cloud. Within the giant vortex, a lump of scarlet raging flame descended with a speed that was as fast as a meteorite. What followed after that was a carefree voice. Suyu, had not arrived yet. How can you say that the first round of assessment is over? End of the chapter. The Divine 9 Dragon will be read in 5 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.